Hi, everyone. Let's learn a little bit about comparing categorical data. That's if you had data from two different sets and you wanted to compare it. We could use a segmented bar graph. This is just one way to compare data. There are several, but this is a pretty useful and pretty easy, pretty straightforward way. So a segmented bar graph is a useful tool for comparing the distributions of categorical variables from two or more data sets. To construct a segmented bar graph, we're going to first find the frequency or relative frequency for each category for each data set being considered. A bar is constructed for each data set, right? You can see down here I have a bar for each data set. We'll get into this in a little bit. Each bar is divided into different segments of different lengths. Each segment represents either the frequency or relative frequency of a category, depending on what you're interested in. The bars are arranged stacked one on top of the other or side by side. Just like a pie chart, we must include all categories that make up 100% of the data for a data set. Make sure that each segment of the bars is labeled or that the key is provided. So I have this example right here. The segmented bar graphs below show the distributions for fruit production for a farm in 2014 and 2015, right? So our two data sets are from 2014 and 2015. In 2014, the farm produced 1 ton of apples, 5 tons of oranges, and 2 tons of peaches. In 2015, it produced 8 tons of apples, 5 tons of oranges, and 11 tons of peaches. So in this first one, I have a segmented bar graph by relative frequency, right? And you can see down here, these are my labels. So that means each one of these bars extends 100%. So it's 100% of the fruit sales for that year. And so one thing to be careful of, it looks like, oh, wow, we were just crushing it with oranges in 2014, but what happened in 2015? So this could be a little bit misleading because there's different total frequencies for 2014 and 2015. You can see that more fruit was produced in 2015 than 2014. So if you broke this down by frequency, you can see that oranges were the same amount, 5 tons for each of the 2 years. So this lets you see that relative to each other, we produced way more fruit in 2015. But you can see here in this one that a larger percentage of the fruit produced, a larger relative frequency, was oranges. All right, so next, I would have you do this on your own if we were in class, but we're not, unfortunately. So this is a relative frequency table. It shows the frequency of students at two high schools, Central High School and Eastside High School. So I have the frequencies. I added these numbers and I found the total. And then I use that method that we saw in the first video where I divide each of these numbers by 1400 to get the relative frequencies. And I did the same thing for Eastside High School, so where we had 800 students. So to get this 0.27, for example, I did 216 divided by 800, 208 divided by 800. And then I wanted to make a relative frequency segmented bar graph. And I've used the percentages or from each relative frequency category. And I can see that they have a similar distribution, but a higher relative frequency of students at Eastside High School are seniors compared to Central High School. All right, that's about it for this. I hope that helped. Thanks.